have a quorum. We're missing a few people, but we can get started. So I'm going to call us to order. And Carlos said he wanted to give a few words, so I'm going to pass it to him.
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge that this is the first public meeting to occur since the scary incident that we had in town yesterday afternoon. While law enforcement continues to learn more about what occurred, I'm grateful that no one else was hurt in this incident. This could have been a far more tragic and far more destructive event yesterday, and I'm thinking of our Shrewsbury police, who every day work hard to protect and serve our community. I'm thinking of our town staff, who every day work to uplift the lives of those who call Shrewsbury home, who will look at the police headquarters and be reminded of what happened. I'm thinking of our community, who every day come to this campus to conduct business. It's jarring to know that we are sitting here just about 100 feet away from where tragedy struck just a little over 24 hours ago. And I want to remind everyone to take care of themselves in these moments as we continue to assess and rebuild. I also want to encourage people to reach out to their friends and neighbors who are struggling right now. The world is heavy, so let's remember to take care of ourselves and each other. Shrewsbury is a strong community, and it's a community that looks out for each other. So I just wanted to acknowledge that at the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos.
All right. Our first item of business tonight is to review and approve the minutes from December 1st, 2025. Did everyone get a chance to look at those minutes?
I did, and I move to approve them.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Our next item of business is reviewing and approving the minutes from the January 5th, 2026 meeting. Everyone got a chance to review those as well?
I wasn't here.
I did, and I move to approve them.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstain? All right.
Aye.
One abstain from Tadine. And then regarding the agenda tonight, originally we were scheduled to have a presentation on the Town Meeting Act and the Town Manager Act from Town Manager Kevin Mizikar and Town Council Stephen Madaus. They could not be here tonight, hence the amended agenda where we are skipping that item. I will reach out to Kevin and try and get him scheduled to give that presentation at our next meeting, which is Monday, February 2nd. So moving to the next item, which was discussing the draft form of government study survey that we had in our shared drive from last meeting that Colleen and Carlos helped put together. Does anyone have any comments they wanted to start with?
Well, I thought it was, I think it looks really good in its present form. I have a question, and again, it's up to the group. Is it helpful to ask a question? What does local government provide the services you need or expect? And if not, what would you like to see provided? I don't know if that fits within the scope of what you're trying to, I can take that and send that to you all if you want, if it's something you think you want included, but I'm curious about that in this study, so.
Yeah, I thought this was really a great process, a great document. And I definitely second what you suggest, Bridget, because that's kind of the heart of what we're working on here. I don't think we need to ask what the tax rate is, though. But I do think I love the next question, what board determines our tax rate, or maybe some more organic question about, what's the process or whatever. I'm not sure how we nail that down. I mean, we don't need to make this trivia questions, but just like, do people understand how tax rates work, or how real estate taxes, or whatever, some other such thing, just to kind of say, hey, this is what the town does, and this is the thing that the town doesn't do.
I think there's confusion between the assessment and the tax rate also, because people get really confused. Well, I see that my taxes are low, but my tax bill is really high, so why is my tax bill here, but my tax rate is, compared to neighboring communities, it's, 11 point whatever %, but I'm paying outrageous. Well, that's because our assessments, how do our assessments get so high? And, so that's where, so this question, is it really gonna do a lot when they don't understand the assessment versus the tax rate, et cetera. So is there a balance between the two questions?
And I think I would be reluctant to delve into Prop 2.5 territory, because that starts getting into, first of all, political stuff, and second of all, every year we talk about what is Prop 2.5, and I don't think we need to review that or ask people if they understand it. That kind of seems like that's a different thing. That's beyond our mandate. But I think definitely understanding assessments versus tax rate versus the actual tax amount, that's enough in the tax discussion, because we have so much else to cover in this program.
I agree that we want to keep it scoped to town-specific questions. 2.5, you start to get to, this is the state, how do people feel about the state? We care, but we don't care how they feel about the state. We're more interested in form of Shrewsbury's government. You were going to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I mean, I wonder if we want to kind of talk about those kind of distinctions on a survey, though. That would probably be more the mapping part, where we present, this is how our system works. That's what I mean, because I think that gets into some, more difficult questions for people to, I mean, I think when Horace and I first talked about this, at least this is my recollection, was that I wanted people to go online and look at our website to kind of say, oh, we have a commission, we have a historic commission, or we have, this is the board that does this, just like maybe as a just exposure of all the things that we do and where to find information. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do think, in terms of like the full structure of the survey, opening with some questions of like trying to figure out if people understand what we have, I think that makes sense. I do think I hear the feedback of removing that tax rate question. I think that we should remove that, just to, I think try to get maybe a higher overall picture of like understanding of, do you know what your government does? Do you know what you have?
Just a suggestion for communications wise, I think keeping that first section to, questions that, brief, but questions that can gauge people's level of engagement with government, I think would be good, because when you have a couple of those, that'll allow the rest of the survey questions to then be gauged, like segmented based on that. And so you can get segmentations based on, because people who maybe are lower information voters versus higher information voters, people who are more civically involved, less civically involved, they may have different perspectives on different, ways the town runs, what they know about the town, what they would like to see, and having those couple questions, even if it's just a handful at the beginning, that in the survey can help segment the information and, help, pull out some narratives that may not otherwise be seen of, what the folks, what are they looking for? What are they, it really helps you get a bigger picture of the feedback. So just want to put out that suggestion that kind of like what you were saying, Mark, keeping it to, some general questions, not diving fully into what is our, what is the 11.5% tax rate, but, maybe the general questions of what is the, legislative body of the town, things like that can, really help with, once the survey's out there and back, then we can, put that in and see. I just wanted to throw that suggestion out there to you guys as you discuss the topic of the survey.
Mike, I have a question. We've had several recent surveys, or maybe not so recent, but some recent surveys. Do we have a gauge as to how successful and how engaged people have been with those surveys? And if it's kind of the same recurring group that does engage in those surveys, and what format we've sent those surveys out and how people have responded best to them? Have they been mail surveys? Have they been online surveys? Like this process, how successful has it been?
I'm gonna.
Do we have any idea?
So we can certainly get you some recent data like over in the past year, we've done a few for sure. We've done them a few different ways. We've done direct survey out through social media. We've also done, we did a survey that we used Zen City, I think, right? And that works people's algorithms and lands in certain places, so it's location based. So like if you're in Shrewsbury, you're scrolling on social media, like it'll pop up, the survey will pop up. I think we were pretty successful with that one. Yeah, we moved away from it, but I also think that developing the survey and, you know, with Tanner's skills, he's been able to get a lot more activity, or a lot of activity from the community on these things. So I think we'll have a better than average success rate, you know, this time.
Is this something that could wind up in the Stay Connected Shrewsbury newsletter then?
Absolutely, I could put on
That was
social
my
media,
question.
news
Digital
flashes,
only?
newsletter.
Yeah.
We could put it in the
Here at the
quarterly
senior
newsletter.
center?
What'd you say, sorry?
In a paper format here at the senior center? Or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
we
that?
can do, you know, those, you know, print materials you had to put at town hall, put at the senior center.
With the
Who
library.
gets that Stay Connected email? I know I get it, but I'm on 3 boards and committees, so how, is it reaching everybody, like, that you have an email for, or?
Yeah, so it's everyone who's elected to sign up for the list. So there's, last I checked, there's a little under 800 folks signed up for that. As for news flashes, when we send those out on town news and updates, there's a little over 2,000. And then our views on social media, it really depends on posts. The average, I'd say, for surveys, I'm trying to think of the last one I put up. I think the Commission on Disabilities survey was the most recent one, and that one was a pretty simple graphic, and that still had about 4,000 views on that. And I think, you know, with form of government being of interest to people, we could, and, you know, regularly putting this out, certainly we could gain some more views. So, you know, and additionally reaching all the folks who come in person, I think putting all the 3, 4, 5 of those methods together, we can reach a good number of people with it.
Is the listserv through the school an option or not really?
Well, so we can utilize Dr. Sawyer's weekly newsletter that he puts out,
Yep.
and we can add that to the
That reaches a
to the
lot.
list. Yep.
And is Selco, they're unrelated, so that's not something we would,
No,
don't we get a newsletter through Selco?
Selco does a newsletter also,
Yeah.
so I'm sure we can work with them, and they would help us out there.
And I was thinking about this as well, doing in-person outreach too, to businesses, grocery stores. I mean, I would even include, you know, Wegmans or any surrounding communities, making sure that, because I think most of them have a bulletin board or something that we can ask if it would be okay for us to put stuff there, just to try to capture as many people where they're at. I also think trying, again, if allowed, going to the faith-based organizations in our community where people are gathering already, if there's a way to push it out to them, because there's people already there. So I'd see if they could interact with us.
As the weather gets nicer, we can utilize a lot of the events they have here at Town Hall and things. You know, the food truck night and some of the other events they have up there.
Yeah.
One question I was considering that we should add, I don't know if it's in the engagement or just as a prerequisite, but asking if people have watched any government meetings previously through the Shrewsbury Media Connect, just as a way to tell how engaged they are, if they know that that's a way you can watch things, if maybe you're busy at 7 p.m. on a Monday or Tuesday night.
Yeah. I think that is a great way to learn more about the engagement, asking questions on the survey, just yes or no.
Yeah.
You know, have you, you know, are you even if, you know, it was, are you familiar with this? Did you know that this? Even if some of them are obvious questions, or maybe we all think they're obvious, whatever it is, just to engage the engagement, just to get people's foot in the door and, see how much they will respond.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's too much in the weeds, whether it's an appropriate question or not, or a way to frame it for you guys. I was just reading our minutes from, I think, the December 1st meeting, and it said, what services is the town legally required to provide? And Mr. Mizikar answered that for us. And then, is there a discussion about the things that we are not required to provide, but we do provide? Police, fire, water, or trash services. I mean, is that too far in the weeds, or is it helpful to know what they know about what we provide, maybe? A global question? I don't know if that's important or not.
Well, we did talk about today, does government provide the services you need? I wonder, based on that, would we want to go talking about, the town provides water. Do you think that's a service that the town should continue to provide? The town provides police. Do you think that's a service the town should continue to provide? Do we want to get that deep into all these questions? I would hope the answer to most of those is yes, but.
Well, but the thing is, we can start with the ones that the town we know is going to provide one way or the other,
Yes.
and see how extensive that can go, because that was a question that we brought up in a recent meeting, was, what are the bare minimums? What do other towns do? And a lot of us who haven't lived in multiple towns don't realize that Shrewsbury is different than all the other towns, because all the other towns are different from one another.
Right. I think my only hesitation with doing something like that is fatigue people might have as they take the survey.
Yeah.
I don't know, Tanner, or if you have information on like size of surveys and, where the drop-off point is at the 20th question, at the 10th question. I don't know if it breaks down that way, but.
Yeah, I don't have statistics on it, but I think generally, the deeper you get into, you want to have an appropriate. It's kind of like finding the Goldilocks zone, if you will, the sweet spot of just enough questions to, being mindful with your questions that they will give you enough information while also, like you said, not fatiguing folks. I ran a survey once that had, was it 65, 70 questions, and the first 20 or 30, pretty consistent people filling out. After that, it kind of started to, the numbers started to fall off. But I think, thinking of the categories that, want to be discussed in the surveys is a good way to go about it, and finding what are like a couple questions that really will tell you the most information. Like, do someone watch Shrewsbury Media Connection? If you put like never watch, didn't know it's a thing, know it's a thing but never watch, sometimes watch, frequently watch, that one question alone will tell you a lot about, like, for example, civic engagement. So just thinking about your questions in terms of, like, you can find a lot just from one question if you think through what could that question tell you.
Yeah, I think we're better off with the high view type questions, not get into, we're looking at the form of government from a, high view, not what services should we provide on a day-to-day basis within there.
Yeah, and we kind of know, like, the police are usually always very positively reviewed, but water, do we want to open that? Because we know that, but I'm just saying, in a way, like, we did talk about that going through, because other towns or other, groups put out surveys, and yeah, we were trying to kind of keep it more focused on our form of government and the services versus like the nitty-gritty different boards and areas.
We can avoid, I've found through a similar process, you can avoid or at least reduce the question fatigue if the survey randomizes. So if I have a 65 question, whatever the high end is, but my first 10 questions are different than John's first 10 questions, and both of us give up after 10, at least we've gotten some responses on, and there's enough data if you have enough people. It's not a great solution, but it's one solution to, what I've been reading about it, to avoid survey fatigue, is the randomization of questions.
What about, do people attend meetings? Do they participate? Like, not just watch them, but do they ever participate?
Yeah.
And the answer is
Yeah, I put one.
not often.
Don't need a survey for that one. Unfortunately.
You know, would you participate? What would you make you, what would help you participate more? You know,
Oh, yeah, we do have a question about participation, I think, and what, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
okay,
how-
yeah.
How often?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could have what would make you participate more.
in meetings, not just town meeting, but like
Yeah.
the various meetings, because that's really integral. I don't think it's just surveys. I think it's the entire, we're talking about our government, our form of government. I think it's really like all the various boards and people do an awful lot of Monday morning quarterbacking, but, you know, the participation is only there at certain times. And, you know, how can we judge their interest and help us decide how to steer on their level of interest, I think is how I want to word this.
So as we're coming up with ideas for questions, Tanner, what is the best way we can coordinate getting these ideas in? I know we have a working group with Carlos, Colleen, that can discuss this, but if other people want to provide feedback without violating open meeting laws and needing quorum and having to do it only at these meetings, is it sending emails to the full form of government study group?
I would recommend sending it, because then the form of government study group goes to everyone, and then if anyone responds, then it's, since that's a quorum. So I would say, if you email them to me, I can always get it to the folks working on the questions and putting together the survey. So if you have, if you come up with 5-10 questions, I can just start compiling everyone's and, knock out any duplicates and then send them to the group working on it, Carlos and Colleen. If that works for you all, that I think would be a good way to do that. And then, we can get everyone, everyone can kind of like sit and think about what questions, do they think would be best to ask, and then we can pull it all together and re-present it again at another meeting.
Okay, so send it to manager at Shrewsbury.
Yeah, or you can send it directly to me. My email's twalling, TWALLING, at shrewsburyma.gov. So feel free to send those to me, and I can get them to Carlos and Colleen to work on that.
Excellent. Does anyone have any further comments or questions they want to discuss on the form of government study survey as it stands right now?
I thought it was great.
If not, continue thinking about it, send those over to Tanner. We'll get a new version of that in the drive, and we'll keep iterating on that until either we're ready to send it out or it gets warm enough such that we can actually talk to people in person.
Do we have a time frame that we're shooting to have the survey out by?
It's a great question.
Well,
Send suggestions for that over to Tanner.
Okay.
I mean, what we could do even right now is just set up, out here at the lobby of the senior center and, talk to people if we wanted to do that
Yeah.
for outreach.
Separate from the survey, or?
Oh, well, are you, no, I'm sorry. Well, I was saying, like, if we wanted to engage, we could do it with the survey. That's a good idea.
Well, I just mentioned as a clarifying question, because I don't think our only outreach to the community should be the survey. I think we should also be trying to have
Right.
conversations. I just wanted to understand if you were saying
Yeah.
conversations or survey.
Well, maybe what we could do is, a few people or whoever could be out here and have the survey to hand out as folks come in, and then if they want to talk about it further, engage further, if they have questions, they could come back and discuss.
I like that idea.
Yeah. I mean, I've done that for other things here, just for, I think, ballot signatures and stuff, and people are very friendly and very willing to engage here, so, was my experience, so.
Right, the other agenda item we have is getting a progress update from the subgroup focused on government structure.
So, yes, first of all, sorry for being late. I had a child activity conflict. We did meet at the police station, which fortunately was not the night that the car crashed in front of it. And we spent some time coming up with some additional information that we wanted to get from the presentation. I think we're very interested in knowing where authority comes from, like the source of authority for people who are working in town government. We're interested in knowing, actually, if I can pull up my notes. We wanted an updated org chart, that org chart that Richard Carney hand drew, or somebody hand drew. It's beautiful, but it's also from the 90s. So it'd be nice to have an updated org chart, as complicated as that may be. We really want to get a sense of like who all works for the town, including school employees, which is a lot of employees, obviously, but what the breakdown is and you know what they do. And just couple other items. Sorry, the reception's terrible in here. I'm trying to pull it up on my phone.
Ben, also it was who, basically, the town manager, like who appoints who.
Who reports to who?
Yeah, not reports, who appoints.
Uh-huh.
You know, does the Board of Selectmen appoint this committee? You know, and a chart as to who appoints which. You know, we have the moderator that appoints the finance committee.
Yeah.
We have the Board of Selectmen that appoints this group. We have the chair, the town manager appointing. So like an overall view as to which authority figure, you know, makes which appointments and how that came to be.
Yeah.
We have it.
Right.
Yeah, we have it in spreadsheet form, but we can probably put it in a form that's easier to read.
That'd be great if that's not too difficult. And then the last thing was, yeah, we also wanted to know if we move to a single charter, what are we going to lose? So we understand some of the benefits, but there may be some advantages to the current system that we might be.
Or at least we should be careful not to lose it if we value whatever it is, but just to know.
Right, that's what we were talking about.
Right.
Exactly.
Or maybe it's just like, oh dear God, I can't believe this is still in there. Yeah, we should jettison that, you know, it's a relic of a bygone era, or whatever it is, right? You know.
Right.
Right, how many of our amendments have we made since then? Will those go away, or,
Right.
you know, since that happened in 1953, what will change? Will any of those things that we've voted on since then, how many of those changes will we lose any of that?
Is that, I think I got it.
Yep.
I
Yeah, I
believe
think
so.
that's everything. Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of questions that hopefully town manager and
Yeah.
especially some of those, it sounds like town council would be the right person to ask, so.
Right.
You sent those along, right?
Yeah.
He forwarded that along, so they were
Perfect.
hopefully prepared to answer them had this occurred
That's what-
tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Great.
we'll take suggestions if there's anything else anybody else would like to add to our list.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if folks looked at the paper I sent around. Well, I sent it to Tanner and he circulated. It was the paper on, it was actually 2 Clark University students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really interesting because they provided the language for the charter and then each town had its own kind of, what do you call it, process, where some people favored it. And so I thought that was really interesting, and I think it was helpful. I didn't even go through all the case studies. They had case studies for each town. But what I thought was interesting was just how they showed the language and changes in the language. So I just found that helpful. But
It's a lot of reading.
what?
There's 114.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And it is excellent
It
document.
was, and I also found it helpful because it really showed the dynamic, like the structure for the mayor, council, and all the different, okay, you've heard of that?
All right, yeah.
Anyway, I just found that very helpful.
Absolutely.
I like to print and highlight, so
Mm.
it's fascinating. Yes, thank you.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm sorry, Ben, did you provide something for the rest of us to read? You said you forwarded that along, that was just for
I-
Kevin and Stephen.
I forwarded to Tanner
To Tanner.
the like 6 bullet points that I just went over. That's it.
Oh, okay.
It's nothing.
You wouldn't have
These
them.
these
I
are
don't
things
think.
we asked them to be prepared to educate
Right.
all of us on
Okay.
tonight.
Right.
Right.
So had we had the presentation,
Yeah.
hopefully, these things would have come out of it. And when we do have the presentation,
They would kind of be incorporated in
Yeah,
the
sure.
thing that they're working on tonight and update this right here.
No, I know, I just wanted to know if there was something I
Yeah.
should be looking at. I'm still getting a handle on how to
Not
get
yet.
it all.
You and me both.
Yeah. So speaking of which, when are we going to meet with the town council? If we need to reschedule that?
So we have a meeting scheduled on the 2nd.
February 2nd.
And that'll just be then?
So I think we're gonna
We have
target
two
that,
meetings
yeah.
scheduled for February. They are February the 2nd, which is a Monday,
That's our
and-
regularly scheduled.
which is a
one, yes.
regularly scheduled one, and then we also have February the 23rd, which is also a Monday. That's the last Monday of the month, which means we will also have the meeting on March the 2nd, so there will be 2 weeks in a row where we meet. I will reach out to town staff and update the committee if the presentation is going to be on the 2nd or the 23rd, hopefully the 7th.
We don't have a presentation scheduled that day yet, do we?
we
Not
know
yet.
of presentation.
Okay.
I know already.
No, currently, the only presentation we had scheduled for a specific meeting was tonight. So,
And are we looking at all the bylaws, like even the zoning, or just the ones like the general bylaws?
So we can certainly get that for you, but I think to start, we're gonna work through the
General.
general bylaws and the Town Meeting Act. Because that's, you know, the zoning bylaws are rules and regulations, you know, for zoning, like they're not truly form of government, like they could potentially change, but most likely they kind of stand on their own document, so.
Yeah, I think you want to keep things like that out of the charter,
Yeah.
just for the ability to manipulate them later. You don't want it to go to a charter change.
Yeah, so I guess then the theory would be, if we, again, lots of ifs, if we were to go to a charter form, the town manager, select board act and the town meeting act would effectively be superseded by the town charter, but we would still keep, a zoning bylaws, which is, I guess, an internal document. That's not a state passed law. That's, something that our legislature handles from time to time. But that would remain on its own with the charter and our zoning bylaws, right? I mean, is that what you mean? Okay.
How I would anticipate
Okay.
that.
based on the presentation at last meeting,
I'm not an attorney, I think you are.
Well, I'm trying to understand, you have much more experience with this, okay?
Yeah,
So I'm trying to get a sense
that's
of-
my interpretation of it, yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
all right. Is there anything else anyone wanted to bring up?
I just had a general question. So I know sometimes like in these charters, there's norms and then there's laws, but we don't have any norms, right? All of our, or do we, in our town?
Select board?
I don't know the answer to that question.
What was
No,
the
I'm
question?
not sure what that,
I'm
I'm not sure
asking
what's that.
about, like, do we have any things in our town that are like norms versus laws.
So basically, things that are just done because of tradition.
Yes.
It's the way we've
That are
always done it as
observed
opposed to.
traditionally, but
I'm
aren't
sure-
like written
I'm sure we
anywhere.
have
Oh, yeah.
things like that, yeah.
I would definitely say yes to that question.
Okay, because I wonder if we want to look at those things too.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and, you know, some things might be like, you know, really very important, and we just never thought of putting them in, but other times we want to be very careful. We don't want to carve in stone things that need to be easily flexible.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest. You gotta be careful with putting things in that are, you codifying something, you know, we had towns that ran into a lot of trouble. COVID hit, that they had things that were codified, like you had to have your town meeting held before X date. And then all of a sudden, you weren't allowed to meet, and they were in violation of their charter. They didn't have any flexibility to do things like that. So you gotta be careful about, you know, something that seems like a good idea at that moment, or yeah, we'd always wanna be done by, you know, April 28th or May 15th or something, and then you write it down, and then,
And it works really great at the time because you've got to get your budget done in time for the this and the that and the other thing, but then what happens when, you know, so, or, you know, other stuff like, you know, where location of offices and other things that we need to be flexible about. And it would be nice to enshrine it, but really what's the point? And, you know,
yeah, I ran into a couple of a town recently, and there are other versions of this type story where they have different requirements for their annual town meeting, didn't have any regular requirements. But if they didn't accomplish whatever they needed to do at annual town meeting and call a special town meeting, that came with all these special circumstances they had to do, they had to meet, and it put them in jeopardy. They almost didn't get a budget passed that year and would have had to lay off the entire town. It was a giant fire drill at the town and state level.
Alright. Anything else anyone wants to bring up?
What do we have for potential speakers coming, like presenters coming up? Anybody, or do we have any ideas? Everybody looks at Andy like,
Oh, you
hey,
mean
what do you
Andy?
have in
Oh,
what do you have in the pipeline, Andy?
I mean, we could have, the thing I thought of originally was to have people, you know, we have a town manager, representative town meeting form of government, maybe bring in some people from other forms of government, a mayor, you know, a town council form of government with a manager or something like that, and just hear from them, their experience, and if they're people that have crossed multiple forms, you know, they might be interesting for us to hear, but that's up for everyone here.
I mean, that's something I've been thinking about. We've got 350 other municipalities, and why should we reinvent the wheel without at least seeing how other wheels work?
Yeah, I mean, one of my former bosses was the longest serving mayor in the city of Taunton, and then he came to the state, and then after he left the state, he became the town manager in another state. So he, you know, has been a town manager and a mayor. When I first made this, asked him if he would be willing to speak if the committee wanted, and he said he would be willing to come. He can't come until March, though. He spends February in Florida. So,
March it is. March it is.
Yeah, can you take a,
find out if you,
yeah,
like,
find out,
after the
so
March
that we
meeting.
have 2 meetings in, actually, no, right now we only have 1 meeting scheduled in March. We can find out if he's back, and if not, we can, at our February 2nd meeting, we can look at scheduling another meeting in March if we
Yeah,
need to.
we may need to do that just because the March meeting will be March 2nd, and my guess is he probably comes, my guess is he's got a place till February 20th. He may arrive home the day before that, and may not want to
Yeah.
drive to Shrewsbury from Taunton.
I just think the sooner we get more information,
Yeah.
the earlier we can make our game plan
Yep.
and go out to the public and present
Sure.
our our program to the public. You know, the more educated we are earlier, the better we'll be going out to the public.
If he can't make it for March 2nd, which I doubt he could, I could see if I could get someone like a town manager that works in a town council form of government, you know, instead of having a mayor, they have a manager. I know of one well who is very highly thought of. I can see if he could come in March 2nd,
That would be
if
great.
you guys are interested, something you're interested in.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
And I will elevate that, this weekend is the Mass Municipal Association's Connect 351, which is the big annual conference for the MMA, and I always enjoy that opportunity to connect with other municipal leaders and just learn more about what challenges they have. A lot of them are similar to what we have, just different town population and all that stuff, but you know, certainly we'll keep my eye open for any opportunities of folks to connect with, to see if maybe they could come speak with us or offer some information, and I'll come visit you. I mean, the table.
I leave Disney on Friday, so.
Oh.
They definitely go by the booth.
Come see me.
So, but yeah, I'll be on the lookout too for any opportunities.
Excellent. So you will try and get someone for the March 2nd meeting?
I will reach out and I'll connect through Tanner and he can
Yep.
go through you. If they can't make it March 2nd, we can try and get them for another date, the person I'm thinking of. I can also go to a different person too. But I think this one particular one would be a good speaker.
Okay.
And the cameras go off. I'll talk about it when the meeting's over.
And our next meeting's on Monday, February 2nd. I think that would be a good time if we want to schedule an additional meeting in March to talk to that former mayor of Taunton. Right now, I know we're missing 2 people, so hopefully if everyone's available on February 2nd, then we can schedule a meeting for March and know that everyone's available.
Sure.
I wonder if we want to get an academic to, like a public policy professor type to talk about comparative town governments or, I mean, I don't have anyone in mind, but I'm just saying that might be a good resource too. Someone who's maybe not personal, like has personal experience, but they have more of a, you know, a view, so.
I can
there anyone that does?
speak to Kevin, and he may know somebody or have some connections in that.
Yeah,
Lisa
we can
Clark,
something like
there's
that.
probably the Collins Center and
Yeah. Conson or Clark, those
Yeah.
folks.
UMass.
I could get one of our attorneys also, if you want, one of our, you know, that has worked with numerous cities and towns as they've done these type of changes or reviewed them, if that's someone we would want to speak with or hear from.
Yep, I think so. I think that might be interesting.
Yeah, I know we've previously talked about reaching out to folks from communities that have made a recent switch, so Amherst and Framingham, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there are others, but
I could
I'm
get
sure we
Framingham
could,
very easily if we
yeah.
want to speak to someone from there.
and I have some connections as well to reach out
Who
to.
would we want from somewhere like Framingham if we want to speak to them? Do we want the mayor? Do we want someone who's?
I would rather
Someone
not get.
worked in the community for.
How about somebody that was on the committee that
Yeah,
selected
that's
the
better.
change, that presented those recommendations
I
to?
can see if I can track down someone on that.
I think it would be wise to avoid someone who was involved in the political side of either those decisions or the subsequent government.
There's also the angle of someone who worked in town hall, now city hall, you know, under both forms of government and how that has changed. But something like that, if you're interested.
I mean, everyone's going to have an opinion.
Right. Oh, yeah, everyone's gonna be slanted in some direction.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
the more data we get, I think it's just behooves us to get it.
Yeah, sounds like we're gonna have a lot of speakers and
That's why we're doing it.
gather a lot of information. Alright.
I mean, I think, yeah, ideally, we have a speaker for each possible form. So, we can
Yeah, I
figure
can.
that out. I'm sure you'd be
Yeah, I can do that very
maybe the
easily.
best placed person to identify. But,
Okay. Well, with that in mind, if no one has anything else, entertain a movement to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great night, everyone.